two of my best friends in the industry, soon to be a third guest joining us from SearchLab, the kings of SEO. My friend, the Crown Prince, Greg Gifford. Hello, Greg.
Hey, what's going on? It's good to be back on the show.
Good to have you back on the show. And we're going to talk about Digital Dealer. We had you and I just raked it in at Digital Dealer, would you say?
It was a great conference for us. It might have been the best digital dealer conference I've ever had in over a decade.
It was a great digital dealer, a lot of friends, a lot of great presentations, everybody from you, me, Kevin Fry. I mean, it was there. People delivered. And can't forget Mark Bealin, the CEO and founder of SearchLab. Hello, Mark.
Hey, Jim. It's good to be back with you guys.
And it was really nice to meet you face to face last week.
Wasn't it?
Digital dealer, just the camaraderie. Greg, would you agree that the camaraderie made the conference?
Oh, 100%. Like, it was so great. We saw a couple of people at this conference last year. We saw a couple more people at Digital Dealer and Driving Sales in the fall. Saw quite a few more at NADA. But then now, like, everybody was here at Digital Dealer last week, and it was a blast.
It was absolutely a blast. And last but not least, Mark Irvine has joined us. Hello, Mark.
Good morning, team. How are you?
What time is it there right now?
I am all too happy to join you at 4 a.m. local time.
Oh, my God.
Oh, wait a minute. Where are you?
Today, I am in Sydney, Australia. Good day, mates.
Good day.
I'm joining you from the future, and I will say Thursday looks great.
All right.
Hey, well, let me ask you, what are you doing in Sydney, Australia? Help me out.
Yeah, so I'm down here. I'm speaking at a local event, the largest search marketing event down in Australia, and I'm spending a lot of time with advertisers down under, talking to them about their local approach towards both SEO and PPC.
Okay, you're going to meet my good friend Patrick Tesher. Have you met him yet?
I haven't yet, no.
Patrick Tesher is the guy that arranges their dealer association convention. I was the keynote for the Australian National Dealers Convention a couple of years ago, and Patrick Tesher and I are great friends on social to this day. We talk a lot. You'll meet Patrick Tesher, great guy. His son Bailey died a couple of years ago, and he set up Bailey's Fund, which is I donated to that, and a lot of people do it. So you'll meet Patrick Tesher, great guy, great friend of mine. Tell him I said hello, and all the dealers down there know me fairly well. So say hello to the dealers for me, would you?
You're infamous, I'm sure.
And by the way, I was in Brisbane, and they said if you go 10 feet off the path, something will kill you.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm not going to lie. Okay. I landed in Sydney International, called my Uber, opened his trunk to put my bags in. Spider like that big in first thing that greets me 15 minutes into Australia. So yes, everything here will kill me or make my day a lot better.
And he went right from Digital Dealer. So when all the rest of us flew home from Digital Dealer, he did this epic, like, probably 24 hours of travel to get down to Sydney. So
flying to Brisbane, it was an 18-hour flight. Was that what you experienced?
Yeah, I've had a total of 3-hour flights on the way down here. It totaled like 26 hours. LAX to Sydney was something like 15 hours.
That's what I did. I flew from Atlanta to LA, and I stayed in the Marriott overnight in LA so I could rest. And then I continued on the journey because that was from Atlanta to LAX. So that's the way I went in. And I hope you flew first class.
I mean, it's Mark Bealin's money, so of course I did.
Greg Gifford, we're here to talk about SEO, pay-per-click. We're going to talk about SearchLab in general. I'm going to start with Mark Bealin. Mark, what is SearchLab and why should dealers be interested?
So we're a local SEO and PPC agency. We were started in 2017 and have grown rapidly. So in about almost 2.5 years ago, I connected with Greg, who I had known, just from his reputation in the industry. And he was able to, we were able to convince him to come on board. And that sort of hit this next huge growth trajectory for us. And then in the summertime, that same summer we hired Mark. So this was all during COVID, if you remember, tough time to try and really scale and grow a business. But we brought Mark on board as well. And then my PPC department started to go crazy. So both departments last year grew by more than 100%. My head count's exploding. So whenever I'm on here, I'm always trying to find if people who are really interested in digital marketing, I always want to try and get to know those people. We're looking to increase head count throughout the year. And, really what the difference is our results are really great. And we've hired good people who know what they're doing, who are recognized. It's not just me who owns that company, but third parties.
Well, I'm looking at the two guys on the lower screen. I mean, you got the king of PPC, pay-per-click. I mean, the god of the realm, and then you got the crown.
Say stuff like that. That's gonna just blow his head up even bigger, and now we're all gonna have to bow down.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got two award-winning experts here. I mean, you've got Greg Gifford. And people looking at the broadcast right now, Greg is much brighter than he looks.
Thanks for that.
Greg, you spoke at Digital Dealer.
I did. I had a 2-hour session because they gave me 2 sessions back to back. So I could really dig in and go into a lot more detail than if I'd only had that, 40, 45 minutes.
What in the world took 2 hours of content? Why?
Well, because we're talking about SEO and there's a whole lot to it. I do training courses all over the world so a lot of times when you go to these digital marketing conferences, not like the automotive ones here in the States, but just about digital marketing, they have extra training courses either the day before or the day after the conference where people will pay extra money to do these training courses. And I've done those all over the world for SEO. And it's usually anywhere from 5 to 6 hours of content that I have to talk about. So I could go all day and really talk about in-depth stuff. But with the 2-hour session, it's more than just hitting the top level of, okay, we need content on our site. We need links pointed to our site. We need good reviews, and you got to optimize your Google business profile. So I could go more in depth and be a lot more tactical and give dealers a lot more actionable information on how does all of this stuff work. So then if someone was in the room and they handled their own SEO or their dealership handles their own SEO, they're getting a playbook for this year of here's all the stuff you need to do. And if somebody is in the room working with a vendor, they get that same playbook. So now they can hold those vendors accountable because a lot of vendors in automotive will take your money for SEO and not really do anything for you. And now they can have more knowledge to be able to figure out that a lot of those guys are, not the right decision to partner with.
Sounds like somebody else's talk I heard. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you remember the movie Home Alone with Macaulay Culkin?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and you know what? It's not like I'm saying anything crazy because you said the same stuff in your presentation.
Fantastic. What'd you think of my presentation, big guy?
Oh, it was awesome. Of course it was. I don't even know. I'd have to count it up, but I sent you how many? Probably 30 pictures and a bunch of videos too. So it was awesome. And it was cool seeing all the people in the room. People are engaged at the beginning and then more and more phones started popping up and recording and more phones started popping up and taking pictures of slides. And by the end, everybody's either furiously writing notes or taking pictures of everything. It's cool to see when people are like, oh yeah, I'm going to see this. And then all of a sudden their eyes open up and they get really engaged.
I had the best time. Well, let me ask you, why do we need SEO? Dealers can sell every car they can get. I mean, the showroom behind me in the backdrop, showrooms don't look like that right now. They don't have the inventory. Why do they need SearchLab? What are we advertising besides sale of automobiles?
Well, yeah, and that's exactly it. Because one of the first things I said in my presentation is now's the worst time to stop doing SEO or any marketing at all, especially on SEO, because SEO is about a whole lot more than just selling the cars that you sell. That's a really small portion of all of the things that you can do. And that's the benefit to working with somebody like us that can customize what we're doing, because all of those OEM approved vendors have a pretty locked in package of strategy / tactics that they have to use the same cookie cutter plan for everybody. We can completely customize.
You're customizing everything for the dealers. I'm looking at Mark Irvine is the PPC. There's the paid pay-per-click guy. You're doing the local SEO. You're using all the organic tools, and so you've got both bases covered: pay-per-click and organic, local SEO.
Yep.
Are we advertising service? Are we advertising acquiring vehicles? Are we advertising to get more techs? The tech shortage. I mean, what custom? I'm going to Mark Bealin for a second. Mark, what custom programs are we designing out there? What are we selling?
Yeah, I think fixed ops is something that everybody is advertising more and more these days. That service and parts, I think, are getting there. We have a lot of people clamoring for buybacks and things like that, which we can assist you with. And then there's just like a million different small things out of there that every different campaign has their own idiosyncrasies. So we try to make sure that we're going to tailor our approach to match what that customer needs.
Well, I said that in my presentation, if you recall, that dealers need multiple pages on their website for service. I mean, they have multiple pages for sales.
I don't get it. I mean, I think one of the things I talk to them all the time is like, service is what keeps the lights on. That's one of the biggest profit centers, and not investing enough in your advertising on fixed ops, I think, is a missed opportunity.
Weigh in on that, Mark Irvine. What do we need to advertise?
I mean, really, what is it that you want? As we enter up there, as you enter the summer, the kinds of problems that people are going to have are not the same problems that they're having a couple months ago. It's no longer going to be a case of the cold weather blues, the transmissions, those pieces that you were previously fixing. As people, particularly up north, I'm from Boston, people are going to begin using their air conditioners for the first time. And it's going to be that they're going to wake up and they're going to discover that's not working. And that's something that they weren't necessarily figuring out in February. So you want to have both pages on your site so that, because when your car air conditioner isn't working, they're going to not search for, car center near me or car repair near me. No, they're going to search for Honda air conditioner repair. I
didn't realize it. Wait a second. So that just dawned on me exactly what you're doing. You're customizing for the situations that people will experience. I mean, even seasonally.
Exactly. And so it's one of those things that you can't, on the SEO side, you have to have that content prepared all year round. Obviously, that content lives on your site. There is no damage in having your transmission repair pages still on your site. But as you chat about advertising, you're specifically going to want to make sure that you have campaigns in place, ad groups in place, that as those needs adjust throughout the course of the season, your campaigns can as well. Knowing the fact that there's going to be seasonal peaks towards even things like service. It's not just a case of like, you update your PPC ads when there's a new model year. Every single week, every single day even, there's a different chance out there to get more business from Google or from Bing search.
Well, most dealers are getting their ass handed to them, literally, from all the local repair shops. I mean, Jiffy Lube beats the local Ford dealership, and so talk to me about that.
I mean, it's because Jiffy Lube has a big focus on every service job that they have. Exactly. It's not because Jiffy Lube does not because Jiffy Lube is better at servicing these cars than local dealerships are by any stretch of the imagination. What it really is that they go out and they advertise. You're going to get a direct mailer probably sometime this week from Jiffy Lube telling you to come back in. And because either your oil change is out of date or because they're running a special specifically for air conditioner repair. They're very specific about their advertising. And that's the nuance that a lot of dealerships aren't taking when it comes to their service center.
So okay, I'm comprehending, I'm processing all this. Greg, when you spoke at Digital Dealer, give me the outline. What did you talk about?
So, I started off pointing out that this isn't a great time to stop advertising, because if you do, whenever we do come off of the inventory shortage, you would not have been advertising, you would not have been doing SEO, and you've dropped in visibility, and then you're gonna have to fight your way back to the top.
You disappeared.
Right. And you don't want to do that, because then it takes time to get back. So you want to sustain that. That was first. Then I did a probably 10 to 15 minute rant about why the OEM approved digital marketing vendor system is not in a dealership's best interest, and walk through the reasons why.
Wait. Slow down.
Okay.
You said what?
The OEM approved vendor system. Automotive is literally the only vertical of anything in the world where you have some third party that will dictate what a business can use for websites, SEO, and paid search. And then they create a co-op system to force you to use those vendors, yet those vendors are the worst options for the actual dealerships. So there's zero value. I mean,
well, I know
I'm not
that,
say
and
zero.
I said that in my speech, but I didn't know you said it.
Oh, yeah, I said it too. Well, I mean, it's like you said in your talk. You're getting the same cookie cutter service that they give to every single dealer. And a Ford dealer in Dallas, where there's 20 Ford stores in the Dallas market alone, needs a vastly different strategy for SEO or for PPC than a Ford dealer in Wyoming that doesn't have another Ford dealership for 100 miles in any direction. And if you're using those OEM programs, you're getting the same stuff in both places, and that makes no sense. And then
I was the keynote speaker for the Wyoming State Dealers Convention.
You were the keynote speaker for every automotive convention ever.
Well, but in Wyoming, it was a picture of me and 7 of the dealers. And somebody said, "Is that all the dealers in the state?" And I said, "No, the other dealer took the picture." So you're absolutely right. You can't equate the Ford dealer in Wyoming to the Dallas Ford dealer.
Yep. Well, and then even too, you end up with situations with these OEM programs where all you do is you check a box. You're like, hey, I'm on Dealer I need SEO. Let me just get it from them. Or, hey, I'm on Dealer Inspire. I want SEO. Let me just get it from them. Or, hey, I'm on Dealer Inspire, but I've been using somebody else for SEO and they suck. So here's my 4 options. Let me just pick one of the 4, and they check a box and they sign up. And then you end up with a situation like Dallas Ford dealers where there's 20 in the market and probably 10 to 12 are all paying the same vendor for paid search and for SEO. And how does that work? Because there's only about 7 or 8 spots on page 1 organically once you get rid of the Auto Traders and the Car Gurus and the sites like that. So if there's 20 dealers and 10 of them are all using the same vendor, not all 10 of those guys are showing up on page 1, but they're all paying the same amount of money. And if you've got 10
what is
dealers,
the value of showing
search,
up? What is the value of showing up on page 1? Because the map pack takes up half of page 1. Even if you're number 1 in Google, you're below the map pack and usually below the fold.
And the ads.
Well, that's why local SEO is so important, because you've got to show up in the map pack and high in the regular.
I wanted to get that. I wanted to get that in. So you got to show up in the map pack, and you guys are able to make that happen. Mark Irvine.
Oh yeah, of course. So that is what. So I love about the map pack.
Don't say of course. I mean no.
No, I mean yes. No. Sorry, like from the future, let me tell you exactly how tomorrow's going to go for you guys.
He's getting
as
off
you chat about
in the future down there in
Australia.
Oh yeah,
I want to warn everyone.
In Australia.
I want to warn everyone. Every meeting with my team starts out with some advice from the future here. But so as you talk about the map pack, obviously it's a place where more and more people are searching for results. And there's of course your Google My Business profile. Greg, what is it? You call it effectively your new homepage on Google, right? It's going to get more traffic. It's going to get more visibility. There's a lot of people today that don't even necessarily go to www.google.com to begin their search, but they're going to the Google Map page, or they're pulling up Google Maps and they're looking for that. They don't
Why
even
are they
type in the
doing that?
words.
What motivates them to pull up Google Maps? Is there
I mean,
talk to me?
if you're transactional, if you're ready to go, if you're like 70% of the mobile of the traffic that's on the web today is mobile, then really the first thing you're going to go to is you're going to not even open up your browser, but you're more likely to open up that app and begin your search there. And so your Google My Business, currently Google Business Profile,
Yes,
is really
thank you.
important for you to optimize, be found online, and it's free. And that's the biggest thing I can stress is it's free.
Google profiles.
Mhm.
George Nenny wrote that book, Google My Business, and then he changed the name.
I know.
But here's a more important thing. We're talking about map pack and showing up in the map pack. Mark can get you in the map pack even if you're not really going to show up there organically. So there's ways to buy ads in the map pack as well. So for dealers, like using that Dallas example, let's say you're out in the suburbs and you're 30 minutes from Dallas, but you want to show up for that Dallas Ford dealer search. You can buy a map pack ad and show up in the map pack, even though somebody searching in Dallas wouldn't normally see you. So there's a lot of cool things that you can do, again, with that customized approach that gets just much better results for dealers.
Okay, Ariel Velasquez says, also Bing places an Apple business page. Are we dealing with that?
Oh, yeah. I mean, anywhere that you can get that information, you need it. And for sure, you've got to be visible on searches in Google. You've got to be visible on searches on anything powered by Microsoft, which is every other search engine besides Google. And then Apple Maps, you want to be sure that you're showing up correctly in Apple Maps. So you have to do the Apple Maps side of things because those are the three big places you're going to be found.
So you're able to deliver the map pack in all of those modalities.
Yep.
Fantastic. What else do you talk about a digital dealer?
So after I finished my rant, I just basically started going through that playbook that I mentioned earlier, where I talked about, the kind of four major areas. The most important ones that influence your visibility are the content on your site and how it's optimized, the links pointed to your site from other sites, your Google Business Profile, and your reviews. So I spent a lot of time.
Do you guys at SearchLab get involved in content?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you have to. You can't do SEO without doing content.
Well,
that's a big part of it. So, yeah, we do content, but that was a big part of the whole on-site signal section that I talked about, explaining how content works and the way you need to think about content and why the crappy 350-word blog post that targets something you'll never show up for isn't going to do you any good.
Okay, now drill down right now. Get a little deeper on that subject.
So the easiest concept to remember when you're thinking about showing up in Google is if you want to show up as a search result, when somebody types a particular search phrase into Google, you need a page of content on your website about that concept. And that page needs to be the best answer in the local area to the question that searcher is asking. And the page that's the best answer most likely is going to think ahead and answer some of the subsequent questions that customer would have once they have that initial answer. It's going to be excessively difficult to write the best answer and subsequent questions and blah, 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 and all of that in 350, 400 words, which is the length of content that you get from most of these cookie cutter providers. They also just start churning out content and they move on, and their entire SEO process revolves around adding new content just for the sake of adding content. And they're not writing content to target the things that the dealership needs to show up for. Like I just was doing an audit of a site that we talked to at Digital Dealer last week, and they've got silly things like a blog post of Nissan Rogue colors. Like if anyone was going to do a Google search for Nissan Rogue colors, this dealership in Atlanta or Tallahassee or wherever it is would never show up for that. That's what the brand site is going to show up for. Or that's what you're going to see that when you're on like a model research page or on a VDP when you're further down the process. But it was like all these really high level, really generic posts. and then it wasn't even a good post. Like if we're thinking, okay, I'm trying to write a post to show up for people looking for Nissan Rogue colors, shouldn't you maybe have a photo in there that shows what those colors are? And they didn't. There was no photo in the blog post whatsoever. And it was like 300 words. And it was like, yeah, here's the colors. And it was like 6 colors in a comma separated list. And then a bunch of other BS about why you should buy from that dealership. So the topic of the post didn't even match the content of the post. So that's where there's a lot of disconnect. And a lot of these vendors just churn out a bunch of BS and dealers don't know any better. So that's what I was trying to give people enough information to be able to hold these vendors accountable and make sure that they're actually getting value out of the money that they're spending on digital marketing.
Oh, but well, the idea is generating more business for the dealers.
Exactly. That's the whole
Okay,
reason.
I mean, we're talking a lot of depth here about how we do it. Where does the traffic come from? Mark Bealin, where are we targeting the traffic? What are we thinking in advance? Hey, we're going to do SEO to target this audience.
Yeah. So the first thing for us, because of what we do, we're going to be very concerned about the geography, like where specifically they come from, and make sure that we have the right targeting, that we're targeting the right cities, and that we're not wasting your ad spend on the one hand in communities that you're not serving, and that we have on the SEO side that we have really honed in on those local signals, which are, a lot of that has to do with the proximity of your business to where the searcher is. The other thing that we're going to really try and hone in on is,
okay, you just said the proximity of your business to where the searcher is by demographic. Yep. Now, when I worked for the Potamkin organization in Atlanta, we had 5 stores.
Right.
And 2 of those stores were in the hood. Our Cadillac dealership was in the wealthier neighborhood of Atlanta. I mean, so the demographics of our stores were dramatically different. The Chrysler store in the hood, the Cadillac store in the wealthy neighborhood. Tell me how that works.
Yeah, so on the ad side, and Mark's going to correct me on some of these things as well, but like the audience targeting is getting much better. So being able to search for people who are in market for a car, or people who are a certain age or a certain socioeconomic condition, you can do that in Google, and they're getting better and better and more sophisticated with those things every day. And whereas, like, I think, for a time, Facebook was really good at that. I think they're less. Some dynamics have occurred with them in Apple where they're less good at audience targeting. I think Google today really has the best audience targeting around. So yeah, everything, there's things that you can't even believe, like that you can target that specifically to make sure you get it. The other thing that we like to do is focus on the idea that people usually don't just go to the website and then buy a car the first time they go. So how can we remarket to those people? So if Greg's team does a great job and we get an SEO visitor to the site, we want to continue to serve that person ads and continue to remind them to come back.
Okay, so how do we follow? Do you pixelate them? What do we do?
You're going to use like a Mark, you'll explain it better than me, but you're going to use a remarketing campaign. Is the short answer.
Okay, remarketing.
Exactly.
Okay, Mark, explain that.
So like, hey, there's as we chat about SEO, hopefully it's getting a lot of that traffic to your site. All traffic is good traffic on the SEO front. And particularly as you get more of that local traffic that Greg's talking about, you're having those people who have questions where you can serve the best answer to that question and get them to the site. Now, if they're looking for information about a particular car and they end up on a VDP, phenomenal. And that is a goal all in itself on the SEO front, but it's not necessarily the end goal.
Vehicle description page, folks. Vehicle description.
Yeah, there you go.
Page. Okay.
So as they end up on either a search result page or a vehicle description page, you can specifically, like, fantastic. Now that they've looked at some cars, they've spent some time on their site, they're not just kicking tires here. They're really shopping around. You can serve them ads of those particular cars that
because they don't stay on the site. They don't stay on the site. They might leave and you got to get them back.
Well, that's the thing. They are currently actively searching, not necessarily for you, but for that car. So if they were looking at that car, well, fantastic, they found you. You're in contention for that. But when they left and they didn't fill out that form, they didn't call you, very likely the very next thing they did is they continued that search and they looked at the other competitors that showed up on the paid search ads or the organic listings. They probably did the entire page. Now, what's probably not going to happen today is they're probably not going to pull out their wallet and spend $50,000 on a car. What's going to happen is they're going to go back to their husband, their wife, their girlfriend, their finance people. They're going to get pre-approved. They're going to get a loan. They're going to work this into their budget. And probably within the next week, month, 90 days, they're going to be actually purchasing this car. So really, it's not over.
There is a gestation period. There is a amount of time that people think about it. They make their pre-arrangements, and you've got to stay in front of them. You got to keep serving them additional ads. You got to pixelate them and bring them back to the website so they don't go to somebody else's website, is what you are saying.
Correct.
Exactly. It's like the race has just begun once they get there.
Yeah.
Amazing. So, okay, so we're doing retargeting. We're bringing people back. I mean, I'm trying to get a whole grasp on all the things that SearchLab does for the dealers. You know, we're not just getting traffic to your site. We're bringing them back. We're adding content to we're analyzing everything you do. Greg, pick up on what I'm saying here.
So yeah, I mean, on the SEO side, it's the content on your site, adding more content, adding the right kind of content, optimizing it the right way. It's getting links built to your site from other websites. It's all the stuff that needs to be done with your Google business profile, which includes setting up a separate department listing for service and a separate department listing for parts, getting those nested under the main
body shop.
Or body shop, yeah. And getting those nested under the main listing, so the main listing shows those departments and now shows the different hours for each department, which is a huge help to stop with customer confusion.
Google Profiles is the bomb, and dealers are not building. So you're building Google Profiles, correct?
Yeah, we're doing that. Then it's looking at the Q&A section, which is something most people pay no attention to whatsoever. And the Q&A, customers think it's chat, but what it really is just a community discussion widget. So you have to pay attention and make sure that you're jumping in and providing an answer as the dealership.
Are you doing that service for the dealers?
Yeah, that's included with what we do.
Oh, so that's included. So the dealer, your people, well, I got staff that does that. No, you don't.
Yeah.
No, excuse me. You don't. Mr. Dealer, Mrs. Dealer, Mr. General Manager, Mrs. General Manager, your people aren't doing that. Right. This is why SearchLab is such a valuable service. Yeah. Now you need to write that. You got a pen, sir, Mr. Dealer, Mr. General Manager. You got a pen. Write this down. Don't trust your memory because we haven't pixelated you here. Mark Bealin, how can they reach you? How can they call you?
Well, they can email my email right at work. So I'm Mark at searchlabdigital.com, and I spell Mark M-A-R-K. And so you can reach me directly. I'm sure Greg's emails are usually very open too. And so we want to hear from you. I mean, I think one of the points, Greg, I think from your talk that I really liked was you said this is, unless you're spending an absolute ton of money on PPC, organic traffic is going to be the number one way people are coming to your site, and website traffic is going to be the number one way that people are getting informed about your business. I don't know. I would not play games with that. I would not try and do that on the cheap. You know, for us, we were a digital dealer. That's how I get business, right? So we invest a lot into our conferences. We don't do it on the cheap. We want to do it really well. We want to be the best exhibitors at every conference. If your number one way that you get, business is from organic traffic, don't cut corners. Really, really invest in people who do this every day for 8 hours a day, and otherwise spend a ton of money on PPC. Those are the two options I think you can have.
But you offer all of those services.
All those, yeah.
SearchLabDigital.com. Mark, is that the correct contact on the screen?
Yeah, you got it right. Thank you.
Yeah, and Jim, I just got back from the Driving Sales Presidents Club, and they had some newly released kind of research information that showed one pie chart was where do dealerships get the most traffic from? By far, the biggest slice of the pie was SEO. Second biggest slice of the pie was paid search. Then they had another one that said, where do you spend most of your money on marketing? And SEO was the smallest slice of the pie. So even though the biggest source of traffic and leads by a long shot is SEO, it's the smallest thing that dealers are spending money on.
I think some dealers are spending more money in newspaper than SEO.
Oh, a lot of them do.
Oh yeah.
Oh, newspaper is very important. You need to have newspaper to train puppies.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, I was talking to who was I talking to on my show? I think Glenn Pesh was. He's like, when I first started doing this, it was kind of like you need to take a chance on SEO. You need to take a chance on PPC because the dealers or the clients would say, yeah, I've been in print for so long. That works and that's it. I think in 2022, this is the safe place. If you want to make a good investment for your marketing for your dealership, the safest play is in search marketing right now. It's where people are. It's where your audience is. The ROI is great for our clients. We can make this value judgment really easy for people with just data.
And you can't get data on the radio, print, TV.
Right?
Yeah.
How are we acquiring inventory? That's one of the big questions that dealers have today. How can we acquire inventory? What are you guys doing to assist in acquiring inventory?
So we could create those buyback campaigns. We can create not even just buyback, because buyback kind of denotes you're buying inventory back from a previous customer, but it's also, hey, we will buy your car type campaigns, both on organic and on paid, so that we're showing up in both places for people that are looking to sell their car, knowing that it's a great time to sell a car because you can make a lot of money off of that car. So it's creating content around, again, the concepts, the ideas that the people you're trying to reach are going to be searching for online. Create content around that, and you optimize it the right way, and you run ads on that content, and that's how you show up in the local area, and you start getting a ton of interest. A lot of dealers.
Well, everybody is trying to buy cars right now. Every dealer.
Nobody's putting up any content.
So if I was a dealer today, and I have been in top management positions, if I were a dealer today, I would have to outperform everybody else that's trying to buy cars. I have to get to the people. Yes. I have to have a more attractive offer. I've got to get their attention. I've got to wade through the clutter and get them to come to my site.
Yep.
And I would hire SearchLab Digital because you guys are superior SEO.
Oh, thanks for that.
Oh, what's your credentials, big boy?
Who, mine?
Yeah.
I mean,
why do you have a right? Why do you have a right to talk about this? Tell me.
Well, I mean, I've been doing this for a decade and a half. I've been speaking at automotive conferences for over a decade. I don't just speak at automotive conferences, though. I speak all over the world. So I'll probably end up doing between 35 and 40 events this year. Next year, I've already booked events in 8 different countries. So I'm the guy that's out there teaching a lot of other people how this SEO stuff works.
Well, does Google recognize you as an expert?
Yeah. So there is a public forum for every Google product out there. And one of the forums is the Google Business Profile or Google My Business Forum. And and those forums are all staffed by volunteers, not by Google employees. And once you go in and answer things consistently and well, you get invited to be in the product expert program, which gives you a little kind of Google endorsed badge when you're answering those questions.
So now you are in the Google recognized expert category?
Yeah, I am actually a gold level Google, product expert for the Google My Business or Google Business Profile Forum.
That's like a merit badge in Boy Scouts, right?
Yeah. So once you get in the program and then you continue to do stuff, at a good cadence and giving good answers, you get escalated in level. And once you get up to either gold level or platinum level, you actually have to sign an NDA with Google. And then I have a weekly meeting with Google. Every Friday, I've got a 30-minute meeting with Google to talk about things that are going on. And so
every Friday, you have a 30-minute meeting with Google at their invitation to share expertise. So
yeah,
I know the answer to the question I asked. When I look at you and Mark Irvine, I'm looking at 2 of the most qualified people in the industry. But I wanted you to get your qualifications out there. So there are some people, all their credentials are their Facebook credentials.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and Mark's got just as many as me. Little small company you may have heard of called Microsoft picked him as the top PPC expert in the entire area of North America in 2019.
Who? Mark Irvine?
Yeah,
that's
number 1 in all of North America in 2019.
Mark Irvine, you got that?
Yeah.
Microsoft said what?
Yeah. So Microsoft Again, startup called Microsoft. Named me their most influential PPC expert in North America in 2019. And a company called PPC Hero has named me among the top 25 PPC experts in the world over the past 7 years, and including in 2019, the most influential PPC expert in the world.
Now here you
So
are in a dark cave in Australia. And,
exactly, they had to put me all the way down to the opposite end of the world to try to find some people who didn't recognize me, and then even down here, they still know me. So and like what I love is like, yeah, Greg and I bring a lot to the team. Of course, like Greg and I know our stuff, but what I think I'm prouder of is the fact that it's not just Greg and I who are getting recognized. It's our team that's getting
let's
recognized.
talk about the team.
Yeah, it's the
not
team
just you
that's getting
two. How many people we have on staff, Mark Bealin?
Like people are getting added all the time. It's like 42, I think, something like that right now. It's roughly 40.
It might be 43.
Yeah. So,
42 or 43 employees. So
so we keep it really, so it's 43. Yeah.
You're not operating out of your mom's basement like some of these SEO companies. Okay.
Not anymore.
No, so
Yeah,
you got 42 employees. Tell me about your team. Greg, tell me about the team.
So Mark is at our headquarters in Chicago right now. I'm at our office in Dallas. Those are the two offices we have. We do have team members in both spots, and then we've got remote people all over the country. You know, when COVID hit, it kind of became obvious that you didn't have to be in an office all the time, and we were able to hire people remote. But, you know, we do have people in the offices as well. And, you know, we have a really robust training program on both the SEO side and the paid search side. Because like you said, Mark and I are the ones out there. Mark and I are the ones that are visible. And it wouldn't really work if we were the ones out and visible, and then the actual experience of the service didn't match what you think you're getting when you're talking to people like us. So we have to have highly trained team members that know their stuff and understand how all this works. Or
that's what I was getting at. Highly trained team members. I mean, the faces that you see on the screen right now, ladies and gentlemen, this isn't all of SearchLab. I mean, they've got depth on the bench. I'm telling you right now that if I was a dealer, I would look seriously at contracting these people to stay visible in the current market, number one, and to stay visible in the future market. And amazing, I'm talking to Mark Irvin here in the future already. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he's Australia. He's tomorrow where he's at. Okay, Greg, let me ask you a question. What about your SEO scoring matrix? What is that?
Yeah, so I have an SEO scoring matrix that I've been using for years whenever I speak at 20 groups. And then I did a 20 group with Jim Dodd last year, and he said, hey, what if we did a workshop after your talk? Because usually what I do at the 20 groups is I get a list of all the guys that are going to be there, and I score their sites. And at the end of my presentation, I say, hey, this dealer has the best SEO in the room, and this dealer has the worst, et cetera, et cetera. But Jim said, hey, what if we did a workshop afterwards and let the dealers cross score each other, so they're actually putting everything they learned into practice? So I updated the sheet and made it a little bit easier for just the general public to use. So now it's all questions with drop downs that assign scores, and it scores dealers on 4 areas: the content on your site and how it's optimized, the links pointed to your site, your Google business profile, and reputation management. And so I've been using this version of the sheet since last summer, and it's been awesome. It really gives a lot of insight into dealers that are thinking about looking for another provider, or thinking about, you know, is my internal team doing a good job on all of our stores of that?
Well, enough of that. How can they get it?
All they need to do is email us, so that you can email Mark, like we put up earlier, or me, Greg at SearchLabDigital.com. I'm happy to run the scores. Anybody that's watching right now or watching the replay of this, if you want to get scored, just pop me an email at greg@searchlabdigital.com. I will do your scores. I won't farm it off to somebody else. I will personally do the scores of anybody that's asking from watching the Alpha Dawg show here. And it's a great tool to either hold your current vendor accountable, hold your internal team accountable, or if you are a dealer thinking about maybe working with us, we run the score and we'll be able to tell you, are there easy opportunities?
Okay, slow down. Slow down.
Sorry, I get really excited.
Oh, yeah. Greg at SearchLabDigital.com. It's on the screen. The scoring matrix. They could. How does it work? They do what?
All they have to do is say, hey, I want to get my site scored, and send me the URL for their store. Or if it's a group, send me the URL for all the stores, or just.
And you'll score it personally?
Yeah, I will do it personally.
You're not going to hand it to some team member. You're going to do it yourself.
I will do them.
Okay, so if you are a dealer, general manager, department head, and you want to really take a look at your SEO, is it good or is it crappy or is it somewhere in between? The scoring matrix. If you send them your information, Greg will score it personally and get back with you. No charge, no pressure to buy their services.
Not at all.
Complimentary. You might be using an SEO company and Greg will tell you, hey, they're doing a great job. He might say they're not doing a great job. You might say, well, I'm going to go make them do a better job. Or you could talk about hiring SearchLab Digital.
Or you may be at a group and you're in a situation where you have an internal marketing team and you handle your own SEO and you're never going to work with a vendor. You can use this to hold your own team accountable and see if your team needs more training to be able to do a better job for your stores. Yeah. So it's not just, hey, I'm doing this to try to get dealers to buy SEO for me. I'm just trying to let people know, hey, look, this is really basic. And again, this is a tactical audit, not a strategy audit. So for example, one of the things it looks for is, do you have your city name mentioned in the various elements on the page that matter to Google? I'm only looking at the tactic of, is there a city there? I'm not looking at the strategy of, is it the right city? So a dealership in Atlanta could put Honolulu, Hawaii, and this scoring matrix would still give them credit because it's just the tactical, is there a city there or not? And the reason we did it that way is we didn't want it to be something where a dealership just wants to see how they're doing, and we give them the scoring matrix and they take it back to their SEO provider, and their provider says, oh, well, that's Greg Gifford way of doing SEO. We do a different strategy, and here's why ours is better. Because you can get those strategic differences at a high level, but this is really basic tactics that there's nobody out there that's going to be able to say or would say, no, that's the Greg Gifford way. This isn't right. You should do this instead.
It's not the Greg Gifford way. It's the Google way. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
This is like the most, I mean, I've worked with Greg for a little while now. This is the most like popular thing he's ever had. So at his presentation at Digital Dealer, it was standing room only. I had to sit on the ground because every seat was taken.
Oh, I heard Greg. I've seen Greg speak at my conferences. When Greg speaks, man, E.F. Hutton listens. I mean,
I can tell when it ended because I was back at the booth and there was just a mob to get their sites scored. Like everybody in that room wanted to get their site scored. So this is the most popular thing. And really, what do you have to lose? I mean, you're just either going to get the information or not. There's nothing. We're not charging anything for it. It's just information.
If you're watching this on the replay or you're watching it in the mass email that I'm going to send this out this week, if you're watching this on the replay or the mass email, there's the email address, Greg at SearchLab Digital. Send him your information and he will score your site and tell you honestly whether you have great SEO, and he'll tell you where you're weak.
Right.
That's the biggest thing I would want to know if I'm a dealer. Where am I not scoring?
Yep.
When I was in top management, my theory was always to seek out the slowest gazelle. I didn't take on the fastest one first. I look for the weakest player in the market, and where are you weak? And that's what I would look for. So SearchLab Digital, why should they hire you, Mark Bealin?
I think that more than anything, you can see these two guys are the leaders of the SEO and PPC divisions, and that filters down to the whole team. So we really are. I'm not just trying to say it to be braggy. I'm the owner, but we really are the best at what we do, and that shows up in our results. We're going to be transparent to a fault about just like exactly showing you the reports, the data, and backing up every assertion we make with data. And so our team is really dedicated to working with automotive dealerships. We understand the vertical really well. It's by far our biggest vertical. And we're going to be at conferences. We're going to be advancing learning. To Greg's point, he said it well. Marcus is in Australia right now doing the same thing. These are the kind of people who train, the other SEOs. So the other SEOs, the other PPC experts. So I feel very lucky to work with these guys, and their knowledge level filters down.
You got two of the best in the world.
Without a question. Yeah.
And that's the thing. Like, I think I'm prouder of the fact, like, yeah, I'm proud of my credentials. I'm more proud of my team's credentials. It's not that he's the two best people in the world. It's that he's got about 38 other great experts too.
And we win a bunch of awards. We won an award today from Microsoft. We win awards as an agency too. So I mean, it's like I feel bad. Like I really didn't know how many people we had working here because it's going so fast. That information is good from here to the door because we might hire somebody, while I've been on this call. That's how fast this thing's going.
That's amazing.
And the awards are coming in, and the recognition is coming in, and it's from third parties. It's from people who don't, we don't pay money to them. They want to see us do well. So, or they want to recognize good work, and that's what we do.
Well, I think I talked about that in my presentation. And Greg, you were in my audience, and I know Mark, you were. Mark Irvin, did you hear my presentation?
It's hard to miss. I'll say that.
Okay, so there's so many people.
That we were right there by that room. Like our booth was literally at the entrance to the room. So yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. And I think I talked about SEO in my presentation that you had to hire.
Yeah, just a little bit.
You had to hire a competent Google certified agency, and the trouble is, Mr. Dealer, Mrs. Dealer. One thing I said in my presentation was 20 things you need to change in your dealership post-pandemic. And one of the things that I talked about is there's a lot of frauds out there today that don't have credentials. Their only credentials are they got great Facebook pages.
Yeah.
They come to conferences like Digital Dealer, and you'd be amazed how many people want to get a selfie with me just so they can say, I hang with Jim Ziegler. I never saw him before and haven't seen him since, but they build a whole story around that photograph, and those are the people that are selling you SEO. Yeah. It's amazing. I've got two of the most credentialed experts teaching their team, one of the most, and as Mark Irvin just said, one of the most credentialed teams. Right. So if I'm a dealer, I'm a general manager, I'm a department head, I'm going to take that email address, Mark at SearchLab Digital, or the other one, I'm going to get Greg at SearchLab Digital, and I'm going to have that scoring matrix. So I'm going to send it in, and I'm going to present it to my top management. Yep. Don't be afraid if you are a department head and you think you're getting substandard results. You owe it to yourself to score that matrix and take it to top management.
Couldn't have said it better. Yep.
I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've seen people that were afraid to take something to management. Right. Go to management and say, I have an idea that I think will benefit the company. I've never seen anybody fired for trying to do something that would benefit the company. Yeah. Am I making good sense, Mark Irvin?
Yeah, no, you certainly are. Like, that's the big thing is like, what I love is like, we're not here to sell you a package. We're not here to sell you something for the sake of selling you something. We want to be a strategic partner with you because we want to see your business grow. How we believe that your business is going to grow? Search. And that's why we're a SearchLab.
Mm-hmm. How expensive is it, Mark Bealin? I mean, are you going to hit these people for $20,000 a month? What are we doing here?
For PBC, for SEO, we start at $4,000 a month, and then there are group discounts. So groups with 4 or more stores will apply discounts too. On the PBC side, we are percentage of ad spend. So we're at 18% of your ad spend will be charged a management fee, and our minimums are $750 a month on PBC, regardless of what you spend on your ads.
Fantastic. So we're not soaking the people. I mean, it's not any more than you're now spending. Probably less than some of your spending. Greg?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, our SEO is, I will fully admit, it's a little bit more expensive than a lot of the stuff that's out there. And if you look at the OEM approved vendors, their top level packages of their cookie cutter stuff is usually at $3,000. So yeah, we're a little bit more, but we do a lot more. That's why it's going to cost you more. And then on the paid search side, for sure, that's cheap. I mean, I was having conversations both at Digital Dealer and at the driving sales thing this week that a lot of these vendors will charge 20-25% of your ad spend. And yeah, are there vendors that charge a flat fee? Sure. So you're spending the same amount of money, whether you're spending $3,000 or $25,000. Well, that's a really good indicator that that vendor is just running pure automation and they're not doing the customized stuff that Mark was talking about earlier.
Cookie cutter automation. Now, honestly, my son has a friend named Randy, and Randy has an office in his mom's basement. And he does SEO.
That's the point. Is it's like if you're spending that kind of cheap SEO is expensive. If you're not doing it right, it's very expensive.
It's more expensive.
Yeah, you might as well just like you're spending $1,200 on SEO. You might as well just like light that money on fire in your backyard. It'll be better for you. I mean, it's like no point. And so the price of the service is just one part of the equation when you're trying to think of the value. Right at the end of the day, the only thing that matters is value. If we're not getting you ROI, I don't want to take your money.
Remember the movie Jerry Maguire with Cuba Gooding Jr. and
show
me the money.
Exactly.
Yeah, show me show me the results. And I mean that when you hire SEO just to say you have SEO because the factory had a favorite vendor. I mean, there are some vendors that are endorsed by the factory that are really terrible. I've got some groups with 15,000 car people in it and said, don't hire that vendor, but the manufacturer keeps pushing that particular vendor.
Yep.
Show me the money. Show me the results. Well, we got attribution. No, show me the results. And that's where you're at.
It's all about value. Yep. So the price is just one part of that equation, but value is what we really try to go to market with.
We're talking to the guys here at SearchLab Digital. Pay-per-click, one of the foremost experts in the world. Organic, one of the foremost experts in the world, leading teams of experts. If you really want to get the best quality result, you got to hire the best quality team because there's dealers out there that need to advertise service. There's dealers out there that need to do employee acquisition, inventory acquisition. You got to get technicians. I mean, we haven't even talked about that, but the techs are the most valuable employees and the most rare employees in the dealership. We got to recruit those people. If I've got a website right now, I have a whole recruiting page or 2 pages or 3, whatever these guys recommend.
Yep.
I'm gonna be taught the benefits of working here. I'm gonna have interviews with people that currently work at my dealership about how much they love being here and how the quality of their life is. I mean, I'm gonna present a picture, and these people, SearchLab Digital, will help you to present a picture to your clients. One of the biggest buzzwords in the industry right now, I want to slap the next person that says it to me, customer experience. Well, let's talk about the customer experience. If you want to have a customer experience, first of all, you got to get their attention. First of all, you got to deliver the information they're asking for without hiding the information or without double talking the information. Am I making good sense, guys?
Yeah, you're not going to have a customer to worry about customer experience if they're not finding you in the first place.
I think I said that. Mark Irvine, we're down to the last 2 minutes of today's visit. What have we not talked about?
I mean, there's so much to talk about. This is one of those things that Greg and I, we've been doing this for not years, but decades, and spend more than 40 hours a week doing. I could talk about this all day long, and I do. I think that really the big part of this is as you think about, what you want from your business, not just today, not just next week, but not just next month, but over the next year, exactly where do you want your business to be? How is search going to help you answer those questions? And that's really what I'm excited about every day when we're working with our clients is we're not just coming to the table with, oh yeah, I've done a car dealership before. Here's the cookie cutter. Like you run these campaigns, launch them, send. What I really love about this is that 2022 is going to continue change. 2023 is going to be a different year altogether. And the SEO, the PPC that you were running back in 2020, 2019, it's just not going to cut it anymore.
It used to be just words. It used to be just words.
It used to be all about keywords. If 10 years ago, if we were having this conversation, both Greg and I would be saying it's all about your keyword research. It's all about how do you optimize for those keywords. We're not talking about how to optimize for keywords today. We actually didn't say the word keywords on this entire webcast about SEO the entire time, I don't believe. But instead, we're talking about your strategy, exactly what it is you want your digital presence to look like, and how do you take those steps, be that SEO,
Your digital presence,
or SEO or PPC. How do you go about crafting that together?
There is a woman who is an F&I trainer, and I looked at the back page on her website. I right clicked on View Source, and her SEO idea is Jim Ziegler, Grant Cardone. Right? She had the name. She had the name. She had my name. She had my name, and every other trainer in the industry's name.
That's
And that was her idea of SEO.
Yeah.
Find that and use it in our presentation or something like that.
Yeah.
Greg, talk about your matrix one more time.
So the scoring matrix is a basic tactical look at your current optimization footprint. So it's looking at the content on your site, the links pointed to your site, your Google business profile, and your reviews to give you an idea of tactically where are you in that digital landscape.
And it's free.
It's free.
And you analyze it. If they will send you the information to Greg at SearchLab Digital,
I will do that analysis. I will send it back to them. I'm not going to try to get you on a call to get the numbers. I'm not going to try to get you on a demo to get the numbers. If you ask me for the scoring matrix, I'll do the scoring matrix and I'll send it back to you because that's the whole point of the matrix.
Okay, folks, you heard it. Mark Bealin, thank you for being here today. This was a tremendous broadcast. It's kind of funny. It's a gathering of friends. I mean, it's not a formal.
It's always fun to hang out and do this.
We're just hanging out. Okay, SearchLab Digital. Thank you, guys.